What's up guys, I'm Fran. I've just finished painting a portrait of Thierry Henry, and over the next couple of minutes, you're going to see it come to life as 60 hours of my work is condensed into this short video. And you'll also hear a few facts I bet you didn't know about Henry. Anyway, you can see me starting with pencil outlines on canvas, then moving on to some chaotic splashes of paint. The start is quite messy, but as Mikkel would say, trust the process. There's method to the madness, I promise, and the painting probably won't come out as you expect. Now, I've drawn lots of footballers before, I absolutely love it. A highlight was when I was asked to draw a custom portrait for Leandro Trossard's family. I couldn't believe it, as I had a really small following to be honest, and I still do. But this portrait, I knew had to be unlike anything I've drawn before. I wanted the background to somehow represent Henry's story and influence, not just what he looks like, and I tried to do this in the background, as you'll see coming up. Whether you're a football fan or not though, I'm sure you'll have heard Henry's name. The first time I came across his name was pretty weird, I'll tell you about it at the end. So, why do we all know Thierry Henry? Well, simply put, Henry is one of the most incredible football players of all time. In fact, most people put him as the best player in Premier League history, and I happen to agree, but I am a biased Arsenal fan, so take of that what you will. I've been experimenting more recently with doing messier style backgrounds, and I wanted this one to be really different. It's black and white, and I use these sort of watercolour paint splashes and ink, letting it all sort of run together. The round shape for the first layer is meant to loosely represent a globe, which is meant to show Henry's worldwide influence. Henry was introduced to the game by his dad, who was really strict on him. Once, he wasn't even satisfied when a young Thierry scored all 6 goals for his team in a 6-0 win. He was furious, asking why Thierry hadn't done even better, or why he'd missed his free kicks, for example. That must have been tough, but today Thierry does credit his dad for instilling that drive within him, which would result in him becoming a legend down the line. Once the first paint has dried, you can see me now starting to draw over the top. I'm alternating between pen and more watercolour as I go, to build this kind of montage of all things Arsenal, like the Arsenal cannon, the Invincibles trophy, both Highbury and Emirates stadiums, and an impression of Arsenal's tube station. Here you can see me painting the outline of the map of France in the background. I wanted to include this to celebrate Henry's home country, of course, and the strong connection between France and Arsenal. Thierry grew up in Les Ulis, I think that's how you say it, a suburb of Paris, and he always excelled for his age group in the beautiful game. At 13, he was scouted by Monaco and selected to train at the Clairefontaine Academy, actually in the same class as Nicolas Anelka, another future Arsenal legend. Thierry played for various clubs in France, including Monaco and Versailles, before his biggest achievement yet, actually winning the World Cup with France in 1998. He was also their top goal scorer at just the age of 20. Unbelievable to win a World Cup at that age, and it's definitely an achievement that he's super proud of to this day. In a moment, I'm going to tell you about how the stars aligned in a crazy coincidence and Henry finally ended up at Arsenal. But for now, you can see me painting Thierry Henry's name in this sort of graffiti-style text. I'd never done this style before, but it was really fun trying to learn how. I felt like a bit of a loser typing how to draw graffiti into Google, but the pages I visited were very supportive, and I do actually really like how it came out. It was really fun and quite satisfying to watch it back. I wanted to do this sort of style because I saw a lot of cool street art around North London, and I wanted the painting to kind of reflect the vibrant energy of the area around the stadium. After all that black and white work, it's finally time for some colour. This was definitely the most fun part, and you can see here how it's starting to pop against the black and white background. I started with a thin base of watercolour, and on top of that, as each layer dried, started to work in different areas of shadow and highlight, like you can see here coming onto the shirt. When you first got these base layers on though, it can look really weird. The shirt started by looking orange, and the shorts look kind of blue and purple, but as I start to put white over the top using acrylics, the shorts sort of start to come to life and look a bit more realistic and 3D. As I said, it's all about trusting the process. As it's all finally starting to come together in my painting, it also started to come together for a young Thierry Henry in a huge moment of coincidence on a flight to Paris in 1999. He bumped into no one other than Arsene Wenger, his former coach and mentor at Monaco, on the plane. Wenger told him he was wasted on the wing at Juve, and the encounter ended with Henry telling Wenger he wanted to join him and sign for Arsenal, and he would go on to do just that later that year. And the rest, as they say, is history. Once Henry joined the Gunners, it took him a few months to settle in, But soon, Henry would become the greatest Arsenal goal scorer of all time, scoring a club record 228 goals across all competitions. Henry fired Arsenal into winning 2 Premier League titles, one of which was the never-repeated Invincibles season of 2003-2004. If you don't know, that means that they didn't lose an entire game the whole season, but I'm sure you've probably heard Arsenal fans talking about it. Henry could run at full pace with the ball, looking like he would never lose control, and he turned into one of the most lethal strikers in history. One of his most memorable goals was an iconic solo goal he scored in the 2002 North London derby, which I just had to use as the central image in this painting. The famous Kneeslide entered the history books when Henry dribbled past several Spurs defenders in that derby, scored, then sprinted all the way to the other end of the pitch to Kneeslide in front of the Tottenham away fans. There's even a statue of the moment outside the Emirates, just to rub it in even further. It can't have been nice being a Spurs fan that day, but is it ever? I'm just joking. Don't come at me, Spurs fans, please. So, Henry won 3 FA Cups for Arsenal and the Premier League Golden Boot, a record 4 times. Then, after destroying the Premier League for nearly a decade, he helped Barcelona win a treble soon after his move there in 2007. Again, not bad. Absolutely criminal that he never won the Ballon d'Or though, even if it doesn't bother him. You can see the signature at the bottom of this piece, and it highlights how I made this painting working with Dan from Football's 12th Man. I met him at a Gooners vs Cancer event a couple of years ago, and we've always had this idea to make some really cool merch for his channel, and it's finally coming into existence. Dan basically gave me free reign as long as I included the Henry Kneeslide. Prints from this painting will be on sale exclusively on Dan's new website, so you'll be able to see that in the description. Finally though, before you go, I bet you've been waiting on the edges of your seats to hear about the weird time I first came across Thierry Henry. I'd never watched much football, my family wasn't into it, and we were actually camping, going on a walk in Wales, and a friend of mine spotted this little pony in a field and announced loudly that he would name it Thierry Henry. I had no idea who Thierry Henry was at the time, but maybe the man himself would be pleased to know that there's a random pony in Wales named after him. Such is his influence worldwide. Let me know in the comments the first memory you have where you came across Thierry Henry. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you think that this painting deserves a like, then please do go ahead. Anyway, thank you so much for giving up some of your time to watch this video. I really hope you enjoyed it and maybe learnt a couple of new things. If you'd like to support my work, please do check out Dan's website. The merch would make great presents and would really help try and turn my dream of becoming a full-time artist into reality one day. I hope you have a great day and look after yourselves, and I'll hopefully see you again soon for another painting. Goodbye now!